Good morning, good evening, good afternoon, whatever it is for you. Welcome back to another Division 2 video. My name is Prime and I have another banger of a build for you. As you saw in the intro, this is my hybrid Defender drone build. You can still do a lot of damage with your gun and of course be protected by that Defender drone up to that 100% damage reduction. Yes, as you saw in the intro, nobody can take you out anymore. But there are a few things to do for that, of course. I made this build like a year ago already, and one of my subscribers asked me to make it again, but then with the Saint Elmos. I'm gonna show you a build with the Saint Elmos as well, but I feel like this setup will do a lot more damage, but you can definitely go for the Saint Elmos as well. And this build just got a lot better just by introducing one brand set to this build, and you can shred through enemies while of course being protected by that awesome drone. Again, this is a hybrid build and this will give you up to 10 cores. Yes, you heard it right, 10 core build right here. 4 reds, 6 yellows, so your Defender drone is up in the air protecting you and you can still do a lot of damage with the gun, and the synergy in this build is just perfect. Running and gunning around with your AR and just shredding through everybody while they try to shoot at you, and the damage reduction comes in clutch. If they shoot at you, turn around, shoot them back. They cannot take you down before you took them down first. It is a lot of fun to play with. It's a little bit different than usually, but believe me, it is so much fun, and you can shred through everybody. And it's a little bit of a different build. Like I said, I already made it build a year ago, but I just upgraded it and it became a lot stronger. But enough intro, enough about the details, enough about the gameplay. Let's dive right into the build and see what we've been building towards. And this is the build that you just saw in the intro, the gameplay and me talking about it. This is the whole overview of the build. And of course, let's start with our specialization. We are using the Technician specialization, and why? We're doing it for that extra skill core, boosting up to that 6 skill core build. And of course, we're doing it for the linked laser pointer. And don't forget to stack up into assault rifle damage, and pistol damage. So let's jump over to our guns that we're using. And the first one is the Kingbreaker. This is on expertise level 20. Don't forget that. So I'll probably hit a little bit harder than you do. I have a total damage of 135.2k. an RPM of 650 and a mag of 50. I went for damage to target out of cover, and of course the core attributes are assault rifle damage and health damage. And because this is the named AR, it comes with perfect flatline, amplifies weapon damage by 20% to pulsed enemies. After 2 kills, applies a pulse to the next enemy you hit. The second piece of this talent doesn't really matter because we're running around with that linked laser pointer. Every time that you aim at somebody, they are pulsed, so instantly that perfect flatline kicks in. And for the mods, I chose to go for twice the critical hit chance, 1 times 20 rounds and minus a 10% reload speed, and then of course the linked laser pointer. Then to top off this build, we are using a classic M1A. This is again on expertise level 20, gaining an extra 20% weapon damage. This is a total 452k damage, RPM of 180 and a mag of 15. Again, I chose for damage to target out of cover, and rifles always come with the core attributes, rifle damage and critical hit damage. And then over to the talent, and this makes the build, guys, and that is future perfect. Weapon kills grants 1 extra skill tier for 15 seconds, stacks up 3 times. Weapon kills at skill tier 6 grant overcharge for 15 seconds, but the overcharge has a cooldown of 90 seconds. And this is why we can gain that 100% damage reduction. Every time that you walk into a room, take one out with your classic M1A, with that future perfect. Because we are already at 6 skill tier, we will always overcharge for that 15 seconds, and that will give you that 100% damage reduction, and nobody, I mean nobody, can take you out. Of course, the status effects will still do damage. Yes, they can still trap you. If you get hit by some poison, it will still do damage. This only protects you from bullets or flying projectiles. Then I went for critical hit chance twice again, and then the 5 extra rounds. For your pistol, you can do whatever you want. I chose for the TDI card. This doesn't help me with that extra skill tier. This gun you need to handle to gain that extra skill tier. This is just an extra for the build. You can use whatever, and I would recommend go for a pistol that you don't have proficient yet, or you want to rank up. In that way, you still get some extra XP to your pistol, and you do not have to donate materials or donate duplicates. Then jumping over to the rest of my build, starting with my mask, and that is Fenris. Why? 10% assault rifle damage. I found it with critical hit chance and critical hit damage on there, so that gave me the opportunity to roll that skill tier on there, and I went for a 6% critical hit chance mod. And then for my gloves, I went for the contractor's gloves. Again, I found this with critical hit damage already on there, so I optimized it, so that gave me the opportunity to roll a core attribute as a skill tier again. And then over to my 2 pieces of Brazos, and this just completes the full build, and you can drop a skill tier because we're gaining an extra skill tier and some weapon damage. For the knee pads, I still need to optimize it a little bit, so the stats are not fully min-maxed. But I went for the knee pads, found it with critical hit chance, critical hit damage, because this always comes with an armor core, and you need to find it with critical hit chance, critical hit damage to roll that weapon damage core over the armor core, like I did. And then for my second piece of Brazos, we went for the Picaro's holster. Why? Because this comes with weapon damage. Again, we found it with critical hit damage, so we could roll that skill tier over the armor core. And why are we using Brazos? It gives us 10% skill haste. Not really using that, but that extra skill tier comes in clutch. As you can see right now, we are on the Picaro's holster, and this already gives us a red core as of the weapon damage. So the Brazos, these 2 pieces give me 2 red cores and 1 yellow core, making it a total of 10 cores on this build. 6 yellows, 4 reds, shredding through everything. This is just the best addition that I did to this build. And like I said in the intro, it hits so much harder than the previous build I made like about a year ago, I think. So let's jump over to the last 2 pieces, and that is my chest piece and my backpack. Starting with my chest piece, I went for Usina Gatica, the named chest piece, the closer. Why? Because this comes with perfect spotter. Again, I found with critical hit chance, critical hit damage on there, so I can roll that weapon damage as the core attribute. Again, I chose for 6% critical hit chance, and of course the perfect spotter. Amplifies total weapon and skill damage by 20% to pulsed enemies. So whenever we aim at somebody, the perfect spotter kicks in. Then of course the perfect flatline kicks in as well, and you will have 40% amplified damage against your enemies. And that's why this combination of the build is just the perfect synergy. You have your survivability with a defender drone, and of course the damage output with this whole synergy of the build, because of course our last piece is the Memento backpack. This of course gives us 3 core attributes: weapon damage, armor, and skill tier. Now thinking about it, this is an 11 core build and not a 10 core build, but that's all good. We chose to go for critical hit chance as the mod on there, and always try to boost towards that 55 to 60% critical hit chance before you go into critical hit damage or other damage outputs. Why are we choosing for the Memento? Because this, of course, gives us a lot of extra damage output. Every time that we're running around, we're gaining some extra damage output, some extra survivability, and some extra skill efficiency for our drone as well. So every time that you pick up a trophy for 10 seconds, we gain an extra 15% weapon damage, 10% bonus armor, and 30% skill efficiency. And don't forget, skill efficiency is everything within the skill attributes. Skill health, skill damage, status effect, you name it. Everything that you can roll on your gear as the attributes will be in skill efficiency. And then of course, if you reach the max cap of 30 stacks picked up, and you can do that pretty damn easy, you're gaining an extra 30% weapon damage, 30% skill efficiency, and 3% armor regeneration. And this just makes the build complete. Gaining again an extra damage output because most of our cores are yellow. We want to go for that extra 30% weapon damage. That skill efficiency, of course, I already explained. That will do a lot for our drone as well. And then the 3% armor regeneration. But yeah, this is pretty much the whole overview of the build. Let's go over to the skills. And that is another thing that I forgot, because that's why we also are using our technician specialization, because we are using the artificer hive. This hive is just slept on. Why? Because you can keep this hive on your back, it will never be destroyed, and it will keep feeding extra stuff to your drone. That's why you can have a 100% uptime on your drone, because every time this artificer hive buffs our drone, heals our drone, gives our drone a little bit longer duration. You can keep it up how long you like. Again, this is of course on skill tier 6. We have some extra charges. We also gain an extra 60% drone speed. And I went for 10% stim efficiency, 10% range, and 10% duration as the mods. And then over to the most important part of the build, and that is of course our defender drone. As you can see, it has a cooldown of 16.7 seconds, but that is right now, without the boost of the memento of course. And you don't really need that cooldown because it will always be flying over your head, protecting you, because that artificer hive will keep it alive. The health is 5.6 million. Again, this is base health from the build itself, but when the memento kicks in, we're gaining an extra 30% skill efficiency, so an extra 30% skill health as well, skill duration, you know, we get a lot. As you can see, the duration is 25.8 seconds, but again, our artificer hive boosts it up. You don't have to look at the duration, it will always be above your head. And we have our damage reduction of 63%. This is because I have this on expertise level 20. The little bit strange thing is if you boost it up to your damage reduction, so like I have, it says that I have an extra 20% damage reduction. That is a lie. You only get a 0.5% for every percent of damage reduction. So if you have this drone at 0, so only expertise, then you will have 53% damage reduction, and you can go up to that 93% damage reduction if, of course, you overcharge this drone. The PvP damage reduction is 31.5%, but we mainly use this for, of course, PvE, and I went for the mods duration, health, and the 6% damage reduction. But yeah, this is pretty much the whole overview. Let's get over to the stats, although they're not really that interesting. Again, these are the base stats that we have, and for my knee pads, I still need to upgrade a little bit of critical hit chance and a little bit of critical hit damage. So as you can see, our weapon hits for 135 without the memento. We have 55.5% critical hit chance, and we have 103.8% critical hit damage, and this will be boosted up to 105% when we have everything optimized. 75% headshot damage, 8% damage to armor, 20% health damage, and then of course that extra damage to target out of cover of 10% that doesn't show up on these stats. And then let's jump over to the build alternative. This is why this build was set up at the first place, because one of my subscribers asked me to remake this build, but then with the Saint Elmos. So if we go back to our build, the only thing that we have to do is just change the Saint Elmos for the Kingbreaker, and then you probably want to change your chest piece to Obliterate, and with Grupo because that will boost your extra critical hit damage, of course. So we have it over here, critical hit chance, critical hit damage, extra Grupo on there. So attach that to the build, and this will be the setup if you want to go for a combination with the Elmos and then of course the Defender drone. Don't get me wrong, the damage output is like 60% less than the last build. I think you can hit up to 450 crits with the Saint Elmos, while you can hit up to 700 to 800 crits with the setup that I showcased today. But if you want to go for that Saint Elmos, change the chest piece to Grupo with Obliterate, and of course change your weapon from the Kingbreaker to the Elmos. One thing that you wanna look out for is because of the Elmos has God mods on there with a 20% critical hit chance and 20% critical hit damage, you probably want to look into your stats. If we go over the stats real quick, you see I have 59.5%, so we're only 0.5% away from the cap. If we upgrade our knee pads, it's already at the max cap of 60%. So make sure that you put some extra critical hit damage mods on your chest and not the 6% that we did with our last chest. But yeah, that's pretty much the build, how I would make it if you want to go for the Elmo. And that's pretty much it. Let me know in the comments down below, did you make this build already? Did you see the video that I posted like a year ago about this build? And did you know that Brazos will boost up your damage so incredibly much, especially on this build? Let me know in the comments down below what you think about this build. What would you change around this build? And don't forget, these are all build templates. These are towards my own game style, my own play style. So if you want to change a few things up that you think will work better for you, go for it. But come back to the video and let me know what you changed, because I would love to know what you are working with. But that's it, guys. Thank you very much for being here, sticking until the end. You are a freaking legend. Make sure to hit that like button if you liked the video or helped you out in any way or form. And if you want to be updated about the Division 2 and or the Division universe, make sure to hit that subscribe button as well. I will come with a lot more content. But that's it for me. I will see you in the next one. PurePrime out.